Welcome. This video will be my thoughts on Star Wars Visions Presents The Ninth Jedi. That title is a mouthful. The episode, Season 1, Episode 1, A New Threat, and I believe this episode is like ages 12 and up, something like that. This video will be. There will be spoilers for this and probably also Visions, at least the original Ninth Jedi episode, and possibly everything Star Wars leading up to it as well. Not for any later episodes of this show. This is the only one I've watched so far. And yeah, absolutely love this. So before getting into the chronological breakdown, I want to briefly note that I think it works really well here that this basically delivers just about all the things that I love about the original trilogy, particularly the, first two of the movies, so we've got this small group of people. I do appreciate in this case several of them are Jedi, but not all. They have their, different strengths and weaknesses. There is, some this thing of someone who has hidden potential and could become, you know, in this case, even better with the Force, already quite good with it. You've got this kind of, having to control one's youthful energy so that it doesn't get too, yeah. You have this element of someone who, you know, perhaps can, but perhaps cannot be trusted, that they seek help from, and yeah, the the villains lose because of their arrogance. If they hadn't relied so heavily on droids, they would have been much more difficult. They would essentially have been impossible. If all of those droids had been individual people. But in a number of Star Wars stories, the villains are coded as fascists, and fascism hates individuality because it cannot control individuals. And that is one of the weaknesses of it. Lucky for us, there are a number of weaknesses. Unfortunately, there are also, right now, fascists are working on taking over parts of the West, so we definitely shouldn't let our guard down. We have to keep fighting back against it. Obviously, violence should only ever be the last resort. Now, I think that does... Wait a minute. Oh, I feel like there was one more thing I wanted to note was... Right. Obviously also, on the slightly shallower side, amazing, varied action that kind of pushes the boundaries of what we might expect to see. And the fact that that's, rendered here and in parts of Visions through anime is, of course, also wonderful. And let's see. Right, I guess I should briefly... No, I think I did say that. I think I let you all know how, about my experience with anime in one of the Visions videos, so I will simply refer to... It was probably for the last season, but it might have been for earlier, whatever. Just, yeah, not claiming to be an expert. Trying really hard not to be a tourist either. I think that is just about, yeah. I'm genuinely invested. I want to see more of these characters. I can't pretend like I'm not missing Tato, but I knew he wasn't going to be on this show because he blew up. And, I was already, yeah, but over the course of this episode, I came to really dig the crew. I already, based on the Visions episode, already found, Kara compelling. Come to think of it, in some ways more compelling than the recent Supergirl movie. No disrespect to Millie Alcock, and I think the writing did what it could under the circumstances. Anyway, I think that is it for the sort of overall. Yeah, and I'm genuinely invested in, there are some questions that need answering that I'm really looking forward to finding out what the deal is. And yeah, let's get into the more or less chronological. So Kara and her crew are being chased through space, which is at this point just Tuesday for them. Do appreciate that, this played out very differently. Yeah, I didn't at any point seriously believe it, but there at the start, yeah, I don't know. No, they pretty quickly made it clear. No, don't worry. We're not just literally re-airing the first episode of or the backdoor pilot of Visions. So yeah, this is the first Visions spinoff. I am not entirely sure if we're getting more than just this one. I'd like to. Like, I'm not sure there's a single episode of Visions where I wouldn't watch a full-on spinoff. Boy, if they could make a spinoff, an entire series of the last episode of Visions, that would be... I don't even know how that would work, but I would be fascinated to see it for sure. Anyway, I think but yeah, so some really, really amazing stuff. Love the bit where, I forget, it wasn't a planet, was it? It was like a massive asteroid or something was blown up, and, the parts are flying all around, and, they realize they must be getting tracked through hyperspace because, some people watched The Last Jedi, and they may or may not have realized that that movie is absolutely amazing, but they definitely did think it was a user manual. And Gramps, very, very charming. Already a big fan of, I do tend to think that Star Wars has a lot of really great droid major characters. Gramps is another addition to that, and love to see it. So flying, doing the hyperspace jump, and then because Genon is so, I think that's how I pronounce it, is so arrogant, just immediately assumes they must be at my mercy. So he falls for their trap, for Gramps' trap, specifically hook, line, and sinker. And let's see, the thing about, it's a black hole. So what? I love Star Wars. Our ship can easily outfly a black hole. I don't know about that big one back there, though. And, they accomplish the flying out of... And I think that's when Nawan contacts, and, there's... Yeah, you have the thing about, you are the last of the Sith, which is that... I believe he did, because I didn't pick it up immediately, but yeah, I mean, I don't think Nawan referred to himself as a Sith, so that's a neat little, and I mean, it's not the first time that I've seen some Dark Force users have lightsabers of different colors than red, so it doesn't hit quite as hard for me, because I remember playing, Jedi Knight, and Dark Forces do Jedi Knight and such with great fondness. So, but no, seriously though, it is a great little twist. And yeah, so Genon uses the Force to get the ship, unstuck from the black hole. Just in case anyone watching was wondering if this would have the Jedi as OP as they are in prequel era media. Which, I mean, to be fair, that's also the case in a bunch of the Visions episodes, so it's, goes with that. I still prefer when they're not quite that, I think sometimes people forget, like in the original trilogy, we just thought it was really impressive, just like the telekinesis and such. Like they didn't have to go that far. But I also appreciate, with like anime, the part of the appeal for, some of the ones I've, been fortunate enough to experience have been that they go really far. They push what can happen kind of thing. And the let's see, yeah, they also, they have the conversation about, okay, where do we even go from here? Yeah, sure, he's going to be stuck here, but we still need a destination. This is not the MCU. We cannot just go, where are we going to head? Like nowhere. And one of them brings up Komako. That's where we want to go to get away from it all. And yeah, genuinely really appreciated the whole thing with done by this thing of, I mean, yeah, it's one thing that he used to be a Jedi. That doesn't mean that he's gonna just go back to that. And the thing about, well, here's a lightsaber. Here, yeah, I think it was specifically his old lightsaber. Just in case you know, I don't know. Maybe you'll end up using it. Who knows? And let's see. I like that Kara, she speaks up for herself. She stands up for their cause, and she does apologize for being, yeah, this is a risky situation. You don't want to make an enemy out of a potential ally, but it also is not like she's not significantly punished for it and such. And I think that does bring us nicely to the yeah, also a great introduction. One of the first things we see done by Do is put this I guess fruit, I think, into his mouth, and yeah, he's just sitting there on his throne chilling. This conflict doesn't really affect him directly, whereas they literally just barely survived. So that's a good contrast there. And let's see, I think that does. Yeah, and at one point, like Kara and not Juro, but the other one, like kind of talk about like, really, this guy used to be a Jedi, and then they like stand up straight, and it's just like, I just want there to be an outtake where done by goes, I heard that, Jedi, but yeah, then Gena gets close enough and contacts, and it was genuinely really cool that Dunbai did pretend, because like, yeah, at the end of the day, if not for his, honor, like he kind of has nothing to lose by just giving them up, like, so that's a good kind of yeah. And I think that is when the yeah, so the very, very cool when the troop transports land and all these robots come pouring out. And yeah, like genuinely, if they don't turn off the droids, how are they gonna, like, yeah, there's simply no way that they'll all be stopped. And by the people we've met so far, I mean, I think that is when we get to, yeah, so they managed to get, yeah, very clever about, Gramps already hid the ship, and I think that gets us nicely to the part where, yeah, so they sneak on board the main ship, and Genna, again, is all on, oh, come on, enough about these sneaky petty tricks. It's like, they're outnumbered though, right? Like, I don't know what you expect, dude. Like, genuinely, like, do you expect them to surrender? Oh, right. Fascist. So, yeah, I wasn't criticizing the show. I was talking about character flaw, and that's why, like, you don't have to take my word for it. Look at, like, historical, details. Fascists, when they, you know, yeah, when it comes to the end of a fascist regime, it tends to be that at least a significant part of why they lost was their refusal to, like, they have this tendency to dehumanize their opponents, and that can make it harder to properly, you know, take into account what they might be able to do to stop you. And let's see, I think that is just about... And then all the, tactical errors and the ego running amok. But yeah, there's a long list. We don't have time to get into it all here. And I think that is it for the yeah, so that, yeah, they get on the ship, and those were also... I love the droid designs in this episode. Gramps already, but also the ones that fight, got something of a Terminator vibe off some of them. And those ones that, like, sort of walk on, like, I don't know, I guess it's... No, I guess it's not that they're walking on their hands. It just... the way they walk and the way they shoot. I just really love that design, and let's see. Then we have, yeah, so Kara goes into the... and puts on a very convincing act. I bought it too. Like, she genuinely did seem like she was like, oh no, is what is gonna do? And then, but after a little while, she's like, well, I think I've distracted you for long enough. What? Stop dancing. We're not doing a dance off. And yeah, Gramps managed to turn off the droids. And that's another thing. The guerrilla tactics. Love when that's part of Star Wars. And let's see, yeah, genuinely very effective. The thing about, because, like, her father was brought up in the backdoor pilot, and now we find out he is still alive and supposedly eagerly works with Nawan. And she's like, Nawan? I mean, no way. And the yeah, that does bring us... yeah, and the thing about, like, well, without the droids, no one's piloting the ship. Did you not take that into account? And let's see. I appreciated the point made about names. For a while she doesn't give her name, and the Jedi there at the end doesn't give his. And let's see. Oh, and it was so... I absolutely loved when, done by actually did use the saber, which I do think goes a long way to prove, like, we all have, deep inside us. Sometimes we like to, think, that's no, that's in the past. There's no way that I still have this. But yeah, the kid inside will always want to wield a lightsaber. And perhaps more to the point of the episode, you might still have inside you the will to do the right thing, even if it has been a long time, And that I did really appreciate. So far, the lightsaber stuff is absolutely on point. It is not at all the kind of... I'm sorry, I just find boring, kind of overdone, in my opinion, prequel era. I can still enjoy a lot of it, but I do prefer when it just is more low key like this. And yeah, great to see that here. And yeah, because like it was very clear that okay, he can, like, Dunby can help save some of his own people. There's no way he's gonna be able to stop all of those droids like that. It's still necessary for them to be turned off. And then we have Kara reminiscing and trying, yeah, I'm really looking forward to finding out more about the circumstance, because sometimes Sith do say things just to mess with the good guys. It's yeah. And then at the end we get the special mission. Oh, right, actually I think it's around here that we do see um Kara's father. And the character is apparently voiced by Simu Liu. Love that. Great to have him in something else to watch. That's yeah. And I think the yeah, and then you have the thing about, like, you're still calling yourself a saber master even though you're one of the greatest Jedi. That's very interesting. Yeah, looking forward to more of that. And yeah, we have the thing about, Ethan. We get the brief flashback to him, getting the mission and all, and saying he's not afraid. And you know, um, what's it, 449? I think 49s, something like that, is there to help. And you know, Nawan realizes that there is a masterless Jedi in front of, and yeah, I really appreciated the spear. So I don't know if it's supposed to be Beskar, but it definitely seemed to have more than I didn't get the sense that it was just like a regular. Is anything in Star Wars regular? But yeah, and the point about, like, well, if you can't have a lightsaber, I guess that's a pretty good Jedi weapon as well. And I really found it fascinating that their fight was almost kind of like a joust. They kind of charge at each other with it sticking out. And yeah, very unusual but interesting. And yeah, we have the blue saber reveal. And yeah, like, genuinely, Nawan is quite the threat. So it's going to be really fascinating seeing, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be defeated by the end of these 8 episodes. Are we getting more than one season? I forget. But no, I'm genuinely very interested in seeing what, yeah. I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm just real quick going to mentally fast forward through the entire thing in my head. So yeah, final thing about the episode, they did a really great job. First, I think first it's said that Kara is impulsive, and then it's demonstrated with done by, the way she talks. And then, when Gino confronts her, we think, oh no, she should have been more careful. Might, she might lead to a mission failure because of this character flaw of hers. And then by the end of that, bit, we find out, no, that was actually exactly what, and again, he underestimated her. And if he had fought to win instead of just trying to taunt her and focusing on, okay, at least I think at least some of the time he was fighting to win, but he was also not, yeah. I guess what I'm saying is part of why he lost that exchange, and by, the transitive logic, the entire episode's central conflict, in fact, because of the, repercussions. The reason that he failed, Geno failed, specifically because he never learned to mind his surroundings.